Okay, cool. So it looks like we are officially live. This is Jukes Lounge. I'm Jukes the Great. This is my first stream back from the little Christmas break, and we have a very important guest. The actual guy that I did my first stream with. We have him back today. You all know who he is. But yeah, guys, this is my first one back. Sorry about the delay getting started today. Literally a minute before stream is going live, my internet just bugs out. It cuts out. So it is what it is. And I'm going to do something slightly different today. I'm going to give you guys something to think about during the stream, completely unrelated to crypto, because, I'm a man who likes many different things. So I have a question for everyone. I want you to think about it. And if you know the answer, then pop it in the chat. Basically, the question is, what is the study of logic? Many people don't know project a long time ago, very vastly studied, but no one studies anymore. So if anyone knows what the study of logic is and they can give me a good summary, then they just get bonus points. They just get G points at that point. Okay, without further ado, we'll get to that in the end. I'm bringing on the founder, guys, of Phoenix, the youngest builder in the Titanex ecosystem. Without further ado, here we bring him. Callum.
One intro. I'm doing good, man. How are you? How was your break? How was Christmas?
Yeah, it was good, man. I can feel the rust on my intro game, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Christmas was good, but it was busy. Like you know how it is, right? Just busy, a lot of just a lot going on. Just a lot going on with work.
I can't believe it's been a whole week since like New Year's as well. It's been literally the 9th of January already. And it feels like that's the annoying thing. It feels like nothing's really happening in the ecosystem. Like everything is just kind of quiet, kind of flat. And everyone's just waiting for the green candles to, the 1,000x soon. Everyone's just waiting for that. Everyone's just kind of waiting around for it. So yeah, it's been kind of like a weird start to the year. You know what I mean? For me anyway, it's been quite gradual, slow. Back into
crypto's weird. Like I feel like crypto warps time in your head because you have these periods of time. I think it's to do with the dopamine or the adrenaline of crypto, right? Because when everything's pumping, it's like it feels like it's going really slow, but then also really quick. It's like it's a weird period of time. And when things are on the downturn, they just feel really long. And you just sit through them. It's a strange thing, that crypto does with time. Like, because you feel like, next week prices will recover. Next week, prices will recover. The week comes. Next week, prices will recover. You know what I mean? And then the weeks just fly by. You're like, holy crap, half the year's gone.
You know what it is? I reckon because we pay attention so much to like all the charts and everything that's going on, even when you zoom out and like in a year's time, you look back and it was like, oh, we were only in this period for like a month, 2 months. When you're in it and you're living through that 1 or 2 months, it just feels like the most dragged out period of time because every single day you'll check in to see and it's just the same. Like most of the metrics are the same. Yeah.
That's the thing. I think when you just check the price every day and it's like, oh, up 2%, the next day down 2%, and it's like that kind of sideways action. It feels so long, and it can only be 2 months, but it feels so long during that time. That's just how it is, though. That's crypto. That's the game. I've been through this. I've been through like downturns enough, and like these like market cycles enough that you get.
I mean, all the Titanex OGs have been. Everyone's lived through it. We went through the hard times. We were saying it in the back rooms. You were saying it. This is nothing. This is literally nothing compared to.
It is nothing. Like, I guess since we're on the topic now of the FUD or the downturns and stuff, I mentioned this to Callum basically before we went on, and smooth in crypto, 9 years in crypto. This is nothing. Yeah, man, this guy knows everything. This guy's a G. I said it like to Callum just before we went live. Like this downturn we're on now, what's the price? Let's say it's minus, I don't know, 70% or minus 80% or something. In the first Titanex dip, we went down minus 98%. Now that there weren't any new users. There was so much FUD around day 280. We all thought we would go down even lower. Like it was that was like max pain, right? Max FUD. And what happened? We just rebounded from it, bro. Like we came back. We did a 10x, and DragonX did a 100x. So
yeah, I think everything's the same apart from the price. That's the only metric, and that there's less Titan X in circulation. That's the only things that have changed. Is the price is down a bit, and yeah, that's it. Everything else in the background is the same. We have more projects than ever launching. I mean, this is the like. For me, it's very comfortable knowing if there's downturns or whatever. It's like we all know where this is going. So it's kind of like I'm not too worried that we've had this kind of pullback. For me, in my opinion, it's just a matter of time before things kind of turn around. When that is, I don't know. Next week, next month, who knows?
Next month, next week. But you mentioned actually something in the back rooms that I really liked that you said was when you're investing in a project, right? You have to have some level of conviction in the fundamentals of the project, whatever that project is. Now, if the price now being down is the reason that you're so distraught, so like you're leaving the ecosystem, then why were you there in the first place, right? Were you there just because the price was going up? Some people are, that's their game, that's fine. Or were you there like just because if you had something deeper to believe in, then nothing's changed. Just because the price has changed.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think there would be any crypto out there that has just gone up to the right. There are these pullbacks constantly. I mean, obviously, like Hex community is kind of merged in with Titan X, and you always hear about how many pullbacks they had, 50% pullbacks, 60% pullbacks, but they did a 10,000x over that time period. It's just normal. It's part of the game. And I think most people are very comfortable with it. There's only a few that, can't control their emotions or worried. But I think it's a good message because nothing's changed. All the fundamentals are still there. And you had conviction when everything was green. The only difference now is that price has changed. All the fundamentals are still there in the background working away. And when you check how much Titan X is being burned, it's actually insane. I think it's like 54. Is it 54% now?
Bro, it's insane. Yeah. No, I think it's 54%. Is it 54%? Let me check. Supply stats.
54.33%, which is insane. I remember this was 53 like I want to say a few days ago, but maybe it was over a week ago. But like we are burning so much Titan X, and the beauty about Titan X is all the build on Titan X protocols are benefiting from Titan X's hyperdeflation. Like it's just a matter of time of what's going on here, in my opinion. Like just look at the stats, look at the data, and then you see all these projects coming out, all the new ones as well. Like literally this month, I think Ascendance launching Saturday, I'm pretty sure. And then we have Flare, Taurus, Mizuchi, all in the works as well.
There's so much to be excited about, man.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember how many projects were out when Day 280 happened? It was like Dragon X, Hyper, was Legend X out back then?
I think I can't actually remember. Yeah,
it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it can't have been more than like 15.
It wasn't a lot. Think about where we are now. Like, think about how many more games there are to play on Titan X right now.
Yep.
Once the price starts to go up, obviously, people should know build on Titan X protocols, even if no one buys them, because they're paired with Titan X, they go up. Now there's loads of those, right? There's like how many? 15, 20? I don't even know. I've lost count. There's so many. They're just coming out. So what happens when people need Titan X to participate in all these other protocols that are also going up? You know what I mean? Utah says, I think there was 6 protocols on day 280. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
look how far we've come. That is insane. And I think all builders are continuing to build.
Oh yeah,
and there's so many more new users coming in as well that can new builders, I should say, coming in building as well. Like everything's exploding, and we could go to base very, very soon, or even post chain. And then it's a whole new community that sees the tokenomics that are going on here that have never been done. And then it might that's a whole new inflow of users that come from that chain. They probably migrate over to Ethereum as well, see what we've got going on here. Like I'm so bullish on Titan X. It's actually a joke. Everything's just lining up perfectly.
It's like one, man.
It's just about patience. It's literally just about patience.
Yeah, I love the Omni chain. Like the Omni chain stuff hasn't really obviously it's not really happened yet, right? Everything's still on Ethereum, but when things do go Omni chain, wow, that's going to be interesting. Like what is going to happen? Because when you go to these smaller like layer 2s or these smaller EVM chains, in terms of market cap to ETH. Who knows if they pop off, right? Solana popped off. What happens if these other chains pop off? Like, obviously, we're going to be bonded over there as well. We're going to have a huge influx of users from there as well. I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, Ethereum has the biggest user base, but what happens when, I don't know, people just decide to use Base instead, or people decide to use whatever instead? The same way we're seeing with Solana.
Yeah,
are we going to Solana?
Well, they've talked about going everywhere, really, but I think Solana's not like the main ones they're looking at the moment is Base. I'm pretty sure that's what Jake's looking to go to. But yeah, I think that's a good analogy. Maybe I think the communities are already there, so it's just kind of bridging the gap. And I think it's going to be a kind of a slow process of going over there, starting to build, bringing in users slowly. I don't think it's going to be some huge explosion and inflow of users. Hopefully, it will be, but like we have to start building there slowly. Get users on, educate them what's going on because there's a lot going on, and then then it will start spreading like wildfire, in my opinion.
Yeah. What do you think is? There's actually a question I've been thinking about. Obviously, we have a very complex ecosystem. Some may say, some may think. Now, to a new user who's coming in, obviously a lot of the stuff might be quite complex. Whatever, mining, auctions, this, that, staking. What do you think is a good way for our streamers, builders, community members, and this is a question to myself as well, to basically make the onboarding process as easy as possible? Because can you imagine being someone playing with meme coins on Base? This is your mindset. Meme coins from Base guy, right? Titan X, you see green candles, so you think, wow, looks sick. I think you go to the landing page, you see Jake's done a great job with that. You know, you look at the old L1 model, new L1 model, hyperdeflationary. I think these things speak for themselves. They're not too hard to understand. It's just beyond that. I think the first thought that comes to my head will probably be just market Titan X. I think Titan X, like everything else is extra, but Titan X is the main thing.
Yeah,
I think that's the main thing to market.
I don't think you need to really go into the mining side of things. I think you just need to talk about Titan X is the base layer. All the projects built on top, its aim is to burn Titan X as the base layer. I think that's the most simplistic way you can kind of describe it to new users. And then you can get into the bonded liquidity stuff. You can get into the more complex tokenomics with all the auctions and everything else. But I think as soon as you start diving into different projects, there are so many, it gets quite complicated. So just leaving it, like you said, to the base layer of Titan X, all the projects are burning Titan X, making it hugely, like massively scarce. Like this is $1 million asset, like multi-million. And there are whale positions just being burnt on like a weekly basis, which is just insane. I don't think that's happening anywhere else. Yeah, nowhere else. Nowhere else.
We're truly a unique place. One thing that I think we could do, maybe community members and more community members. So if you're watching this, the reason why I'm saying this is because I do think it benefits the whole Titan X ecosystem, would be to start up some sort of educational type. So I'm trying to do educational content for free, but I think also doing paid for educational content where you walk people through all the different protocols. I think that would be like good ways of making more onboarding. But I think having more educational content and breaking into a very easy to understand way, as a community member, someone who's not a builder, someone who's not a founder. Founders, they've got their own things. They've got lots of things to do. That's probably something that we should.
Such a good point, because I don't know how much of you see of this, but I see a lot of projects and they're like, oh, this is the new big thing, whatever. And then they talk about, it's not even really tokenomics. They talk about maybe their founders that they've founded other projects or that they've done this. They've got like a few key points that are interesting. And these videos do really, really well. But imagine if you had, if you were able to communicate or just start communicating what we had going on in Titan X, really get out. Like what we have is so unique and so like not being done anywhere else. You just, it is the education, the communication. So I think that's a good point. A very, very good point. I think I might start trying to, do more educational stuff. Just even if it's just running through the basics of how auctions work or how the virtual mining works, and like for new projects coming out, because everyone's quite used to it because we've had all the projects in the past that's kind of come out. We've had time to kind of realize what's going on. New users coming in. It must be a huge shock.
Because there's probably a lot to think about. And you only need to make like a 10-minute video on YouTube. Even Jake said this. I think he said we have lots of streamers, but we need more like 10-minute YouTube content that's got good SEO, that's just good for the algorithm and it gets out there. Okay, thank you, Utah. Yeah, I'll check that site out. But yeah, you can make a simple video. Like you can make a video titled something like "Why Titan X has the best farms." Something simple.
Yeah.
And then have a big APR.
Yeah. Oh, he's frozen. His Wi-Fi's crashed again, guys. It's a very good. What he's on about is a very good idea, though. I think it's just about getting to the users, really. We have so much going on. It's just reaching the amount of users. And I think that really is how far we can make Titan X go. And everyone's doing such a good job, like on Twitter, all the organic kind of growth. But I think it's just really reaching out of that zone and trying to make the viral kind of content, in my opinion, for YouTube, like Jukes was saying. And yeah, just for YouTube. I think that would be the best. How's everyone doing today, though? Hope everyone's good. Yeah, 54.33% of all of Titan X has been burnt, which is worth about 50 million, which is just insane. This number keeps just slowly ticking up. It's honestly awesome. Perfect timing. His Wi-Fi crashed just before this as well. What's everyone excited for? New projects coming out. I'll tell you what I'm excited for. Taurus. Taurus is actually looking very, very interesting. I guess I'm going to take over the stream now. Yeah, Taurus. I'm just going to give a quick elevator pitch of why I think Taurus is like going to be awesome. It's basically virtual mining, okay? With there's no allocation for rewards. The rewards are all come from a core. It's like a central core for Taurus, and that's just giving out Taurus tokens constantly. That means there's a massive allocation to the buy and burn because there's with Titan X, I think it's like 28% goes to the reward pools. With Taurus, all of that allocation is going straight to the buy and burn. So there's an 84% allocation to the buy and burn with the virtual mining. And this core basically rewards more Taurus tokens. So if you create, which is basically like virtual mining, it's basically like having T rank added to it. But this core is the rewards that are coming out are shared between the creators and the stakers as well. So I'm so excited for that. Obviously, Smooth's in the chat. Shout out Smooth. Flare is going to be insane as well. Flare is going to be insane. Literally, when Smooth first told me about Flare, I had to like process it of what was going on. But when it clicks, it really does click. And I mean, a quick elevator. I'll do some elevator pitches. Why not? Flare, in my opinion, this is what I've kind of like processed it to be. Is Shogun.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back.
Sorry. I haven't got audio. Hold on. I'm gonna just fix my audio.
Yeah, Flare is Shogun tokenomics with an Inferno style fair launch, which is going to be so smooth. Speak to me after this stream, man. I cannot wait to hear the progress of when Flare. Okay,
now we're fully back. So sorry about that, guys. I don't know what is going on my internet today. This doesn't usually happen. I think my internet is the real fudster right now.
It's happened to me before. It has happened to me. I told you the back rooms, right? It was during a stream. It was actually with Smooth and all the Go X guys, all the Accelerate team. It just crashes. And I had to run downstairs and go on my laptop.
I know, it's so it's annoying. But thankfully it just came back. And then I had 2 Mbps for a couple minutes, but it's cool.
What were we even talking about before? I feel like we were on a good topic.
You know what? We were on a good topic. We're talking about... It was to do with I remember talking about burning. Oh, Omni-Chain Titan X.
I think we were talking about the more content, what people can do, what we can do, because I think it is just like I was saying, we have everything here. It's just getting the users in. And I think that really just depends on how many exits, because everything's such small market caps. Even Titan X is such small market caps. It's just the amount of users that comes in really depends on how successful Titan X can be this Bull Run. So yeah, anything that the community can do to really get out there. And I think, yeah, educational videos, short 10-minute clip videos on YouTube, even TikTok and stuff like that, just to try and get it out, I think is a good strat.
TikTok is an interesting one because, you know, so for example, Twitter is easy because it's got a huge crypto base. You know? And a lot of people who understand crypto. TikTok is interesting, obviously, because when you're putting out videos, the content, I mean, most of the people on TikTok are just, I don't know what they're doing. They're just watching random videos, right? So the user base is very different. But I think it does work. It definitely, I mean, it has to work, right? At the end of the day, eyeballs are eyeballs.
The one thing I kind of view it as is X is very specific. Like you can have a community, but you're only really going to reach that community. I feel like TikTok gives the ability that you can reach a massive amount of viewers if you just nail it right. You know what I mean? Like it has the possibility to really go viral if you make the right content and you really put good stuff out there. I feel like X is more difficult to do that because you're kind of stuck to your community in a way. Like it's difficult to reach out to different communities.
That's true.
I think we just got to go on all social medias and
definitely, man. We got to dominate. We got to omni-chain social media, bro. Come on.
Remember last stream? It's the Empire. You call it.
That's what I call it, man. It's a Roman Empire, the Titan X Empire.
Exactly.
One thing that I definitely would love to see as a community member, and this is something that I'm considering doing myself. But what I really like, I think people trust people and people buy from people in the sales world, and also lifestyle sales, right? When you guys watch a Coca-Cola ad, around company, when you guys watch a Coca-Cola ad, they don't just show Coke. Oh, it's so amazing. These are the ingredients of Coca-Cola. Did they ever do that? No. What do? They'll show some guy sitting in some nice house, you know, got the kids around, got the family there, drinking his Coke. It's a lifestyle thing, right? So I think lifestyle sells. And one thing I would love to see from the community would be, let's say there's someone out there making an absolute killing on, I don't know, let's say, for example, farms. Okay. They're making so much. They're just a huge whale, massive whale. Even at these prices, they're making a lot. They could make a video. Now, obviously it's not built for everyone because it depends if you want to put your face out there and stuff like that. But they could make a video like, look, this is how much I'm making. Simply as that. You know? Maybe not specifically how much they're making, but this is how much you can make. And then they can show their lifestyle, walk around some nice apartment somewhere, like, you know what I mean? Like, go out, spend some money. I think people like to see lifestyle. I think lifestyle sells. So just putting that out there. That's something I'm considering doing. But
what you think more like really going into like your personality, showing yourself, kind of more personal brand instead of just the generic.
Personal brand, like showing how you're using Titan X to literally make a living and to literally live a life. How to go out to central London somewhere or go out to some mall somewhere, that's wherever you live, spend a bit of money. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, just show people like this is all I've made, this all through crypto. Like, you know, I think people just like to see stuff like that. So,
I think we'll have that impact when green candles come and people are posting charts and everyone's going crazy. It's just these times when it's kind of a low turn is when we've got a plan on what content we can make to get out there, if that makes sense. Yeah.
We've got Mike Dean. Come on. We've got
Mike
Dean. Come on, bro. Mike Dean the machine. By the way, guys, Smooth, Mike Dean, Utah Crypto. This is open. If you want to join, I did post a link in our streamers chat. So if you guys are down to join, I'm more than happy to have you on. You know, just chill, vibe. So just let me know and I'll add you on.
I want to know, Jukes, what project are you looking forward to the most that's coming out? Because we have a few coming out soon. What's kind of caught your attention?
Oh, that's coming out soon. That's a good question. I'll have to go with Flair. And I'm not just saying that because Smooth is here, bro. Yeah, I'll smash it in a second, Smooth. Actually, let me just get that started now. I'm not just saying like a Smooth is here. Like genuinely, Flare. I actually really like the concept of it, the nuance of it, and also, I don't know if you've seen the UI.
Yeah, I've had a little
UI.
peek. It looks good, man. It does look good. Yeah,
it's a chef's kiss, man.
Yeah,
It is so good. It's so good.
100%. What kind of draws you to Flare over the other projects? Do you think? What's the main selling point?
Keto's just asking me about USDX. Obviously, that's very actually that it's hard to put one above the other. I think USDX is probably more important from a protocol perspective, like protocol wide perspective, right? That's we need that. So that's probably now going to be number one. Now Keto's mentioned that. But what I like about Flare is it's going to be, an LP web with hyperdeflationary assets. And I think that selling point is it's very bullish.
Yeah.
To be connected to everything hyperdeflationary, like Inferno, Phoenix, I believe will be on there. Maybe he can clarify that for us. But Phoenix, like all these different protocols that will be hyperdeflationary assets that are cap supplies. Flare's going to be connected to all of them. And he's done something similar to you in the sense that, you know how with Phoenix, you've got the auction system that carries on going. He's also got an auction system that carries on going. So it means that there's going to be a constant renewal of the buy burn and just keeping everything, kind of like working and rotating.
And yeah, what you were saying about this massive LP web, it's also a tax token.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Very similar to how Shogun works. When if there's all this kind of volume over all these different LP pairs, then there's all these bots that come in and they're trading this volume, and there's always a tax there, and that tax goes to further fuel the auctions. So it's kind of a way, because it is something that I think a lot of builders are trying to work around, is how to make auctions kind of last forever. With Phoenix, we're doing it through the stakes, but for Shogun and Flare, they're doing it through the kind of LP web. And we've seen with Shogun, we've seen with Element 280 was the first really to prove that there are these bots that are just always trading, creating volume. And then, Shogun was after, and now Flare is going to be doing it just on all the hyper deflationary stuff, which is going to be interesting because, in my opinion, they're the ones that are going to really, really be able to pop, because there's no more supply coming out for them. They're completely capped. There's no hyperinflation coming out. There's nothing. It's the supply is out there. The only way to really get that is buying it off market. So I think I'm excited to see how much of an impact that's going to have for Flare, just being kind of having these LPs with all the main kind of hyper deflationary projects in the system.
But I think it's so bullish. I think it's really bullish. Like I love Element. I love these LP web stuff now, but get quite into them. Like Element, Alien X, Shogun. And obviously, because like they're bonded to so many things, there's kind of the what do I call it? Like there's the possibility, now I guess it depends on how thick the LP is, but there's the possibility that a project they're linked to goes through a crazy price thing and it might affect the coin. But with Flare, it is going to be connected to these really deflationary assets, and I think that as a selling point, because it's not like it's connected to everything, it's only going to be bonded with those hyper deflationary things. Let's go, guys. We've got some other people on. I'll give them a second to get themselves set up. Guys, just drop me a message in the private chat if you're ready to be pulled on. So we've got some people behind the stage that just joined.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that's it for me. I really like that. I think it's a great selling point, and with the tax as well.
Yeah,
this is bullish.
100%. Yeah. I'm interested because last time I spoke, he said, I remember he was talking about January, possibly. I'm not sure if it's maybe going to be February now for launch, but it's not far away. It really is not far away. And then we also have other projects like Ascendant coming out as well. Shout out Smooth.
What up?
And Utah.
Let's go. We've got Utah and Smooth in the building, man. Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Might as well be a community stream, bro. What's going on, Utah, man? It's my first time actually talking to you on stream. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Just glad to be here. You guys are doing amazing. I love it.
Thank you, man.
Love it, man.
Yeah. We've got lots to talk about because we've got two guys here just launched a project. Utah just launched Stacks, and Smooth and Crypto. We've got the Flare coming out. How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. Yeah. So we got we just went to our first audit yesterday, and this guy he's catching some things and it's looking really good. So pretty pumped on not only the release of Flare, but just, you know, an opportunity, even though that the market is kind of on a little downswing right now. I think it's just a great time to try to be the catalyst for Titan-X, in my opinion, right? Ascendant's coming out, and I think they're going to do amazing. I got a stream with them at 4 right after this, kind of. But Flare releasing, it's one of those things that I think it's going to be ready in January. See kind of what makes sense in all honesty. If late January, early February launch works, this guy... The audit's going great, so and we did a couple tweaks on the actual tokenomics of it as well, so just to kind of create even more longevity. So I mean, if you want me to pull it up to just kind of explain what we're doing, I obviously can.
Yeah, tell us the tweaks. Is it just percentage? Oh, Smooth's gone. He's like, no, I'm not showing you.
He's like, guys, gonna pull it up. Hold on, bang, disappeared. He's probably coming back.
How are you feeling about stacks at the moment? I've seen you guys have a lot of stakes. I've seen as well with. Do you guys have a stake with Eden? Because I'm pretty sure there's a huge payout today.
Yes, we do have a stake with Eden. So yeah, we did receive that payout today. So that will be going to 80%. Will be going to the buy and burn on that. Because during the minting period, we don't compound. So we pay rewards to the users. We pay Genesis, and then we go straight to buy and burn. Then after minting is when we start our compounding. 80% compound, 0% buy and burn, and then we start scaling down.
I've just actually checked just now the stacks. If you guys go to the stacks user hub, you'll see the amount has increased quite significantly, like by 10-fold, in the user vault.
Nice.
And buy and burn. Yeah.
So Utah sorry, I thought it was reverse. So does it start off with 80% buy and burn allocation and then slowly switches to an 80% reinvestment allocation over time?
No, it's the opposite. It starts with the compound first.
Starts with the compound and then goes into the buy and burn later down the road.
Pick up the momentum first with the compounding.
Okay, yeah.
Please scale back. And so, yeah, there's a 36% ROI right now if you mint stacks, and it's been juicy for a few days, and so I mean it's easy if you want it, it's there, you know. But it's tough. It's a little tough sledding right now in Titan-X. You know, all the markets in general, actually. You know, Bitcoin, Ethereum. It's like, what's Ethereum even doing? You know what I mean?
Down 2%.
But yeah, I think we all know that it's just a matter of time. You know, right now is not the time to second guess yourself or fumble. So, welcome back, Smooth.
Yeah,
I'll tell you guys.
Dude,
give us the alpha.
Instead of hitting present, I hit leave studio. So that's my fault.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, if you want to pull up the white paper,
let's do it now. Let's do it. Yeah. Bang.
Yeah. So, basically, the biggest things that we did is all on this page right here. Come on.
Do you mind zooming in a tiny bit?
Yeah, I got you.
That's all right.
My shit is frozen.
Smooth. I got to update my diagrams, man.
Yeah. Well, let me refresh this. I don't know what's going on. All right, so can you see it good?
Okay. A little bit. If you can zoom in, try zoom in a little bit.
All right.
I think it's control plus.
Where is this thing? I never zoom in, so it's kind of hard for me to do it. All right, I'll figure it out in a second. I'll just do verbal anyway. So the weekly mints, we dropped it to dropping 0.01 just to make it the ROI even better for minting. It's not aggressive at all, and it kind of just promotes even more kind of longevity and fairness for the release of the minting. The biggest thing is we upped it to 48% of it is auto buying the next day for the auction. So instead of it being 32%, now it's 48%. And then the buy and burn allocation has dropped to 28%. So with this, the math on having more of an auction allocation to buying off the open market created a lot of longevity, and it ultimately burned even more at the end of the day. So kind of the higher that auction balance buy pressure is, it kind of creates even more of a sustainable auction system. And 28% is sent to the buy and burn. And then one other thing that we did was for the first 4 weeks, the 8% that is used for the Inferno buy and burn is now being used to create and just grow like crazy the Inferno Flare LP pair. And then after the 4 weeks, it'll go into the buy and burn. So this way, I mean, the only contention I had with Flare from other people is like, you're kind of not wasting percentages on the buy and burn of Inferno, but it just doesn't make as much sense, even though I said it'd be the second biggest LP we have, whatever. This way, it'll be full LP creation and growth through the whole first 4 weeks. And then after and forever and always, going to be sending that 8% to the buy and burn. So we're going to be super heavily liquid with Inferno, kind of just wanted to kind of tweak that a little bit and make it a little bit more aggressive, in my opinion.
Is the the amount of tokens when you do have the auction days, is that going to be the same amount of tokens like given to the auctions for those auction days?
Yeah. So it's starting off with $1 trillion in the auction balance, but instead of it being 32% of everything that comes in, now it's 48%. Everything that comes in is bought over 180 calls the very next day. So every single day there is just a ton of buying and storing into that auction pool.
And is that throughout the... Sorry, go on, Jukes.
No, I was just gonna say that's basically slowly dripped out. So it's like it's locked out for quite a long time. Yeah,
it's forever.
Is it smooth? Is it the 42% throughout the entire mint for the 11 weeks, and then does the allocation change, or is it going to be 48?
48% forever.
Forever. Wow. Okay, that's going to be very, very aggressive then.
Yeah,
very aggressive. So if there's one day when there's a good pump of Flare, that means there's lots more through the auctions. The next day, almost half of everything that's come in goes straight to just buying up more Flare.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it could be extremely aggressive if it starts moving.
Yeah, exactly. So I put out a tweet the other day. It was like 372 program buys in Flare every single day, basically up to, right? Obviously, if people miss those calls, they'll double and go to the next one. But either way, it's the same exact amount that's being bought. And so regardless if anybody's buying on the open market, the protocol is, and it's going to be really aggressive. So it's like if $1 million comes in, that's 480 grand that's bought the next day, right? If it's 100 million that comes in, right, that's $48 million bought the next day. So it's like it could get really crazy really fast. And this helps with the longevity of the perpetual auctions as well. I know me and Callum had many discussions on how to kind of have more longevity, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I like that actually, because if you think about it, right, like if you think about buy and burn, it's buying and burning those tokens no longer exist. Whereas when it buys and stores it for the auction, think about, because those tokens are getting auctioned, right? So ultimately those tokens can bring in economic value
exactly
back in directly. So like buy and burn tokens just don't exist, but the buy and re-auction is like it's a way of using the already minted tokens, right? These aren't freshly minted. These are going to be, stuff that was already minted. It's a way of using those tokens that were already minted as a way of bringing in more economic value and just constantly adding to it. So yeah, it does make it more long lasting and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean the biggest thing is I want there to be a good auction every single day. I know the mint phase, the 11 weeks, it's going to be solid through that. I mean, easily, right? But after the 11 weeks, what happens then? So the more math we did, the more that longevity with having a buy and burn, right? The higher the percent on the auction buy versus the lower percent of the buy and burn will actually burn more over time. So we just wanted to be super aggressive with that.
Yeah.
So I've got a question. So there's going to be a trillion starting with, if is it 11% of the balance
11.
is used? 11% for the mint phase. So roughly about 110 billion, maybe more, because the buy and burn is going to be pumping away, is going to be used on that first auction and coming to the system. That means there's going to be 48% of that, right? So over 50 billion Titan X is going to be used the next day to buy. Yeah, the next day. So be recycled. Is it recycled into the auctions and to burn Flare further?
Yeah, so what will happen is there's a snapshot right when it's about to tick over to that next day. So with whatever happens during that day of buying, that's going to be the next day. So whatever is that tick part, right? I think it's at 10 UTC or something like that. I don't really remember, but it'll take a snapshot of that. So first day it's 110 billion period, and then whatever happens the next day over all of those buys and the auction balance ticks up at the end of that day, that's what the next day is going to be. So it's going to be pretty wild to watch, in all honesty.
Yeah. What makes me interested is obviously you have the week in between the mints, and now you've made it even more kind of fair, and the ROI is going to be even more crazy. So for that week when there's the 48% being reinvested to buy up, push up Flare, hopefully, then what's going to happen? Like, it's going to absolutely pump it, and then the ROI is going to be there. There's going to be a crazy ROI for mint, more people coming through the mint, and then there's more being recycled back into the buy and burns and for everything else.
Exactly. So
it's going to be very interesting.
100%. And, if we get a big week one mint and then only people want to auction, in my opinion, eventually there'll be a point where people want to mint again in that 11 weeks. So whether it happens on week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, whatever the case may be, it will be inevitable that people are going to mint tokens, in my opinion, with how aggressive this is.
Yeah,
100%.
And
because
you can use
I guess
Ethereum
with the mint
as well. So if you don't even have any Titan X, come in with Ethereum. We love that even more.
I guess with the mint, you've got the like, let's say it's a day on the auctions, you can figure out what the cost will be tomorrow for your to mint, and there may be a higher ROI, right?
Yep.
So there will be periods of time where like users will have to make that choice. Do they want to go in with mint, or do they want to go in auction? It's probably one of those ones as well that you might want to diversify your strategy and DCA how much you're adding each day. That makes sense. Kind of like Shogun with the auctions, with all the auction systems, you kind of want to DCA through. So yeah, I can see people splitting up their bags, DCAing, and then like some days it may be an auction day, it may be way better ROI than what you're going to get tomorrow, and then it could be the opposite. So there's going to be a constant kind of game there to play between, is it better to mint, is it better to go auction? So
exactly. Yeah. And one thing I'll add to that is during the mint phase, you know exactly what you're going to get, right? During those mint days, you know exactly what you're going to get. The auction, you have no idea. You don't know if a ton of people are going to go in, a little bit of people. So I wanted the balance between having solid, you know what's going to happen, versus see what I kind of get. And the difference that one thing I need to put on the white paper as well is minting, the moment that next day starts, you can claim it instantly. But auctions, it's a 24-hour cool-off period. So you can't game the system like a big whale comes in at the last very second and then claim it the first very second of the next day. So definitely just like that, and just promotes people that are early on in the day and to actually try to get that ROI.
Mm-hmm. Smooth, bro. I can't wait for people to see the UI.
Everybody here has had a little taste of what it looks like, so
it's beautiful.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It does look good.
The UIs now are like getting so good. Like literally every project coming out, I'm like, damn, this is a nice UI. Damn, this is a nice UI.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the professionalism. I've actually a question for all of you guys. What is your thoughts on, because there's going to be pros and cons to launching in a low market sentiment and a high market sentiment. What's your views on that? Like, let's say the participation is high at the start. Yeah. Do you think it's better to have a high participation right at the start, or like a lower participation? What do you guys think about, about that?
You want me to go first? Since I guess
Yeah,
kind
sure.
of really close. So I think it's okay either way, in my opinion. Luckily with Flare, we have 11 weeks of minting, so we might hit waves of, bigger adoption here, bigger adoption there. Seeing what happened with Inferno with the later on weeks just going kind of parabolic, in my opinion. It just shows that even if you have a slower launch at first, maybe the later weeks you actually get way more adoption. But even if so, me personally, I think if it's a low amount of kind of excitement, people really have an eye on things, it's going to work out, right? And longevity wise, in my opinion, it won't really matter too much. It's going to be like I say, 20 years from now, like you won't even remember the first week, to be completely honest. So obviously, in a high sediment, great market will launch even better for sure. But you won't be burning as much tokens. You might not get as many. Like if Titan X 5Xs or 10Xs, there's going to be less amounts of token amounts going to be put in there just naturally because it's worth more. So with the low amounts, you might get 5 billion or 3 billion from the average user, versus if it is a higher price, you're going to get less tokens. And in all honesty, the tokens really is what matters the most rather than the price, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it really depends on the project. Some projects, it matters more towards price if they're more isolated. But for projects, for example, like Phoenix, that has a Titan X stake, we want as much Titan X in that stake as possible. It doesn't really matter about the price. We just want the stake. And yeah, I'll second what Smooth said. I think the protocols that have kind of longer mint phases, you just want to get out as soon as possible because you want it out and you want there to be enough people. And there should be excitement at the beginning, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're doing the marketing wrong. But there should, for these long mint phases, you want them out. But for the things that really depend on good sentiment, like for my opinion, like the auction mechanics that only last, for example, like Mike's or Volts or Ascendants, where there's like just a kind of week, 2 weeks of just auctions, you really want some kind of either to smash out the marketing or some good sentiment, because that small period of time really does matter for how much comes into the system.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I don't know if Utah is Utah there.
Yeah, for stacks, I think it's actually kind of sixes, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term, but because it's just less inflation that we're going to have to burn in the future. So to me, it's kind of just relative to whatever it is. But you'd always want to take in more. It seems like, I know I do, just always want to take in more if you can, But also, I think as far as setting up your liquidity pools initially, I think you want to do that when Titan X price is low. I think it's beneficial for the protocol in the long run. So that's a huge plus to it, because we already know what happens when, you see Titan X start to run, and you're bonded with it. And thick liquidity is a really big deal. And most of the stuff, so what we took in initially, a third of that went to liquidity, so we have super thick liquidity pools on stacks. And the cool thing about stacks is once it's capped, that's it. That's it. And this buy and burn, it's never going to stop unless the entire ecosystem doesn't make it, which I don't see happening. So yeah, we've already burnt 14% of the supply during mint. Wow. And we haven't even really fired it up. So yeah, pretty excited about it. Long term, it's always been a long-term play, in my book anyway. I mean, there's a compound play there if people choose to take it, but for me, it was always long-term,
Yeah, I see that.
Mint the NFTs and just hold them, just forget about them. That's my turn. That's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I think what you guys mentioned was pretty much hit the nail on the head there, because obviously, like for staking protocols, ideally you want as much as you can get because they want stake positions, they want large stake positions to get more payouts. And then with LP as well, obviously you want, like, if it's an LP web, you want like a thicker LP web. So the more Titan that comes in, you get thicker LP webs and stuff. But then on the other side of it, you know, you do have more inflation to worry about. And also you have, you know, if it's a lower participation at start, you start at such a small market cap that it doesn't take a lot of economic energy to just absolutely shoot that thing to the moon. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen Felix started at like what, 60k MC, and it just quickly bang 120k. Everything else is red, but you go to Tinex Bubbles, Felix is like up like 100%, and that's just because that can just be one guy who likes it and he's buying it because it's such a small MC. It just shoots up real fast, and that can be another way to attract new users. So I think there's definitely positives. There's positives you can take from both sides, you know. So yeah, it's going to be interesting because what happens to these low market cap coins when Titanic starts to go crazy, right? Like they've got huge headspace. What happens when the sentiment shifts? You know what I mean? So I always try to look at the positive of everything, you know. So even if there's a low participation, I like to look at what is positive there. And I think with stacks as well, obviously it's perpetual. During mint phase, it's going to buy and burn the tokens, so you've got less tokens to worry about, and then you've got like, you're going to be also compounding those positions as well just from those protocols. So if those protocols do boom, you're still going to have plenty of economic energy to carry on compounding, and you're going to have a tiny amount of NFTs to worry about or tokens to worry about. So, you know, that's the way I look at it.
100%. And I'll second that because, yeah, when you see these small market, like that's exactly what we saw with Baby Dragon X. When with the market cap, like it was tiny Dragon X because it was bonded to it. As soon as Dragon X did a 10x, Baby Dragon X only needed a tiny bit of extra economic energy being put in to absolutely send it. And yeah, it'll be the same with especially stacks, because stacks, the liquid supply is so small. It's going to take very little to just absolutely bump it.
Stacks has ridiculously thick LP as well. Utah just said it. If you guys go to the actual, like, let me just check it quickly. What's the Stacks LP? Stacks has got really thick LP, like super thick LP. And then on top of that, it's bonded to Element. So when Element starts to push up, you got all that economic energy gonna push up Stacks as well. Yeah, Stacks has a market cap, guys, of 49k. And let me just check the sell side liquidity. 41k. Like, isn't that ridiculous, right? That's like thick LP. It's crazy.
Yeah, and another thing that I think people aren't really paying too much attention to is the fact that, well, like E280, for instance, right? Like it likes to run on volume. So once Titan X kicks off and then all these other pairs, you know, start kicking off and doing their thing, you know, all the fixer bots come in and they start doing their thing between all those pairs. And also all the payout pools that pay out in Titan X across all protocols. I mean, we have Ethereum and we have Titan X, but you know, I'm betting that the price goes up on both of those. You know, so then what happens? You know, what happens if Titan does a 5, a 10x? Well, those pools just did the same thing. And now that buying power is way more than it is right now. So, you know, it takes a little bit of vision, you know, a little bit of patience, you know, to see where this is going. And just look at the stats on Titan X, you know. I mean, I just right now it's do you believe or do you not, you know? And I think we're down to the point where if they're still here, they're pretty much believing. If I'm judging by the sentiment, because I go in the main Titan X chat, and we got OGs in there rallying the troops, you know. And I remember before, oh man, it was so bad in the early days. When we first went down and through the bear market, it was absolutely horrid in there. And now it's like the Jeets are gone. They're already chasing other stuff. So I think we're about there when it comes to sentiment. You know, I think cans are mostly out.
Utah, I have a quick question. I'm not sure if you know. I don't know. I mean, I can't remember it exactly, but do you know how much legendary LFGs or NFTs that the Stacks Helios Stacks NFTs that the Helios Treasury minted?
I
think
don't
they
know
minted
offhand. I should know, but I don't know offhand.
Yeah, I can't remember either because I was just thinking like that's a large amount of NFTs, and we don't know what the Helios DAO are going to decide to do with those. They could do anything they want with them, possibly, but for the meantime, those NFTs are probably going to be diamond held, right? Especially since it's a long time play. So you have a huge amount of NFTs that are going to be diamond held, which means that a large percent of the NFT backing, you don't need to worry about getting burned and dumped on the supply, which makes the liquid supply effectively even smaller. So the amount of supply that you need to worry about, I feel like it's so small.
And I agree with that. Like you said, they can do whatever they want with them. It's their DAO. But knowing Dude and knowing their DAO and the Helios ecosystem, I don't see them just dumping them on the market, or anything like that. So plus they're getting good rewards from them. So why would they? Why would you kill the golden goose? So yeah, I'm actually really comfortable with the fact knowing that those are in good hands.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've seen with Helios, especially the Helios DAO and the Treasury and stuff, their goal is just to scoop up as much different coins from as different ecosystems as possible the long term. So it's not going to stop. They're going to continuously stack up stuff, and it's pretty awesome to see kind of where they started and where the Treasury looks now. It's completely night and day.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, Dude's building an empire over there.
What happens, like Utah is saying in these different pools? What happens when Titan 10x's, right? All of those rewards 10x. What happens to the Helios treasury when this ecosystem goes through a 10x, right? Like that treasury has so many tokens that are just gonna pump like crazy, and it's gonna look insane when the ecosystem does go up. Keto Natural guys said that. Shout out Keto. He said that there's 15 LFGs. Legendary LFGs minted by Helios, right? So in total, there's 21. 15 of those, you can imagine, are going to possibly be diamond held for a long time. So that leaves you with 6. Is that right? Yeah, 6 NFTs that are going to be like LFGs that other people have minted, right? And I think there might be some other protocols that minted them as well. So the amount of actual LFGs minted by users, like legendary LFGs minted by users, is quite low. So the amount of actual NFT backing that's going to translate into liquid supply as it stands now is just very low. Like it's so little. So that means that your buy and burn amount is going to be like so much more competitive token, right? So you've got like way less tokens to worry about there. So just saying it, guys. You got some compounding games to play.
Yeah, and James, James, I think he minted the first of those, so they have one too, Baby Dragon X. He also likes to have his hand, in all these different protocols and that, and good for him. Shout out. So when we launched, he minted one of those live on stream. So yeah, I feel pretty good, knowing that, these protocols went and minted those, and they're responsible parties. So pretty awesome. Like you said, the writing's on the wall, but people want a Lambo in 2 days, so they don't get it. But I think the people that do get it, mint an NFT and just hold it, because the future for stacks is extremely bright. It takes nothing to pump this token, and people are going to find out by the time they, most of them start paying attention. You're not going to be able to get these NFTs anymore. We only have 9 days and 17 hours left, but I'm okay with however it plays out, because I already know how this goes.
One thing I'll say and this is like in relation to Callum, like Phoenix, and also Flare as well, is the beautiful thing about these protocols, like all of these protocols here, stacks included, is they're not just like isolated. It's not like you just launch the protocol and it's completely isolated. It's on the Build on Titan X ecosystem, and it has stakes, or it has an LP web with other projects as well. So when you look at things like user base, for example, but you're bonded to everything, or you're in other stuff. So I feel as if the user base can really increase like quite rapidly because you're in other communities within the Build on Titan X system. So like, you know, once things do start to moon, people will look at these protocols that are bonded to these other ones. Do you know what I mean? So like, I feel like the community, like the amount of wallets that are holding the token, I feel like if it was just completely isolated, like doing its own thing, then you have a lot more to worry about with that, because you have to really, everything has to be your own marketing. But you have marketing built in from other protocols. If that makes sense.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about building on Titan X. You adopt this whole community that's everyone's focused on the same goal. As long as you meet the ethos and you contribute, you can literally have free marketing in this huge community that all shares the same goal. So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I wanted to do, obviously, because this was streamer Callum initially, is let's pull up the page, the Phoenix page, and just look through everything there, what's going on.
Yeah, Phoenix
I'll
is
just quickly add that.
It's one of those ones that is looking like it's going to be starting at a very small market cap, because there's only about 46 hours until it becomes completely capped, and the market cap's about 120k at the moment. So it's going to be capped at 120k, and obviously it's built on Inferno, leveraging Inferno. And I can't comment on any price, obviously, but I like to talk about what happened with Baby Dragon X when Dragon X was pumping.
100%.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. It's one of those ones. Yeah, it's started at a very small market cap, but the stakes do scale with where if Phoenix, whatever the price of Phoenix is through the auctions, we're going to be bringing in a mirrored amount. So if Phoenix hypothetically did start doing well, the stakes are going to be still being built and maintained through Phoenix pumping as well, which is going to be interesting to see.
And I love this UI as well, man. It's like I really like the vibe with it, the colors, the vibe. You got the Phoenix here with the ashes are burning and everything. So shout out to that, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I like these clean UIs. These UIs are just, they're stunning. You can keep them open on your tabs when you're flicking through at the end of the day, checking all the protocols.
Yeah, and like Utah was talking about as well, with Flux, that's all paid out in Titan X. And yeah, Utah, I 100% agree with you. If you are bullish on where Titan X is going, protocols like Flux, which have an insane amount of Titan X built up in these longer payouts, in the 777 day payout, in the 88 day payout, for example, they have a lot of Titan X sitting there. And if Titan X 5Xs, those pools 5X as well. So Flux is kind of like the leverage play on Titan X. Blaze and Titan X are the more kind of safer long-term payouts in Ethereum.
The 777 payout is a lot as well on Flux. Like there's a lot of Titan X in there. And like you said, what happens when things 5X, 10X, or even further, right? Like that payout could look so insane. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. And there's auto compounding, right? Like it's gonna keep on adding to these positions just organically.
Yep. So through the auctions, 15% allocation is going to be split between building these free stakes. So kind of what I was talking about. If Phoenix does pump or dump or whatever, what we bring in through the auctions is going to be mirrored into building up these free stakes. Blaze is being 100% of it is being reinvested at the moment. We have about, I think it's 2.1% ownership of the Blaze pool, which just in the 288 day payout is about 2.5 ETH, which is like 8,500, and 100% of rewards is just being maintained. So I'm hoping we can maintain that stake, if not build upon it, because 100% of rewards are being reinvested. And for Titan X as well, shout out to Matrix and GoatX who have contributed to Titan X. We now have 0.5% ownership in the Titan X pool, which is awesome. I think we're like the fifth biggest staker, and it's just from the 888 day payout. It's 19,000 at the moment. That we're going to get paid out, which is about 5 ETH, 5.7 ETH. Yeah. So I can't wait, because there's all these moving parts. Like if Titan X starts pumping, Flux is going to be amazing leverage for Titan X. Blaze is just in the background providing Ethereum constantly. And obviously if Titan X does crazy numbers, we still have that big Titan X stake. If mining becomes profitable again, we're going to be reaping the rewards.
Yeah. I think we're day 440. So we're about halfway into the 888 payout, right, on Titan X. So who knows? Like, if when things go up and people start mining, those payouts, like you said, there's 19 grand in there that's gonna be coming to Phoenix. What happens when that's doubled, possibly, right? Or just speaking theoretically, but what happens if that potentially doubles the AAA payout? Or your position in the Titan X pool still carries on growing? People they need to be looking at this, because how this could look at the end of that AAA payout could be substantial. So starting off with a small MC, you've got so much room to go there. Smooth, are you talking? Your mic is really low.
Oh shit, my bad. Yeah, so what I'll say is all of these numbers that Callum has already said is just during minting. That's not even including any perpetual auctions that are going to happen every single day. So it's pretty bullish, even though that, like you said, it's kind of a smaller market cap right now, that you have such a solid start and stake in a lot of these protocols. You add on the daily auctions, which, people are going to get the ROI if there is one there, and that's just going to continuously add more too. So even though you think it's going to be like a lower cap coin right now, I think it's still has a lot of room to grow, because you have daily auctions to add to all of this. So I think it's solid where it's at, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't wait I love the bonded liquidity plays in the ecosystem, and I think Inferno I'm very bullish on Inferno, so I'm very happy that I'm built on it, and it's kind of going to be leveraging it at such a small market cap as well. Because if Inferno pumps, hypothetically, Phoenix is going to pump as well, because of that kind of bonded liquidity play. So I can't wait to see, what happens when everything picks up in the ecosystem in Inferno as well. And smooth. So 8% is going to go towards buying Inferno and making a Flare Inferno LP. So that's going to be a huge LP with Inferno.
Yeah, and that's through minting and auction. So every single day, everything that comes in for the first 4 weeks is going to be starting and adding to the Inferno Flare LP. So
which is,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot, because all of that, if it's Titan X, if it's Ethereum going into Titan X, that Titan X is going to be buying Inferno off market to then create the LP, which is bullish. And then after, was it 4 weeks? Then 8% goes to the Inferno buy and burn as well.
Exactly. So 8% forever and always.
Yeah. And Inferno is literally, Utah, I think you have the more accurate statistic, but it's close to 60% of Inferno's being burnt now, I think.
It's over 60. We're coming up to 61.
61, so, wow.
Yeah, we have Mike Dean's bot in our Telegram that gives us the updates. So, I'll pull it up right now on my phone. And
they've got to update the website. I think the website's still at 58, 59, I think.
Yeah, they're working on that also. For some reason, it's always lagging, and I don't understand why. 60.79% burnt.
Wow.
And that all increases once Titan X Eco starts going. So
and Flare's going to be burning more Inferno, and GoX has already sent allocation to the Inferno to buy and burn 2.0 as well. So, and all these projects that have LPs with Inferno are going to be benefiting from Inferno's deflation. So I'm hyped for Phoenix, and I'm hyped for Flare as well, obviously, and I'm hyped for Flux, because Utah, you've got the stacks, you've obviously got the Flux stake, which is leveraging Inferno, so it's kind of a benefit to all of our protocols.
I'm excited, man. I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready for when this thing kicks off. We've earned it. We've earned this one. We've been here a long time, and like you said, this is nothing compared, to the months that we were down in the bear market and everything else. This is absolutely nothing compared to that. So it's just a matter of time, is all this is. Just kind of a waiting game, and that's it. And I mean, Jukes, if you wanted to pull up the Blaze pools and look at the size of those, and that's it, Ethereum's price today. So, what do you think Ethereum's going to do? Those pools are huge.
Let me pull that up for you guys 1 second. Blaze. Blaze has so much. Hold on, let's just look at awards. Okay. There's so much going on in this ecosystem. Like I was saying, I think right at the start of the stream, how many protocols do we have when Titan X when Day 280 came about versus how much we have now, the amount of games people can play with their Titan X has just increased like so much. And in the next month, there's another 10 protocols and so on and so forth. There's just so much that's going to be, there's so much people can use their liquid supply for. So here we have the Blaze protocol pools here. Which protocol, which pair was it? Was it the 288 day? Yeah, 121 ETH.
Yeah. And then the 888 day pool. So that Diamond Hand pool, that's only open for 365 days from launch. As far as entry goes, you won't be able to get into it, but yet it'll still accumulate for the entire 888 days. So that's limited entry. Yeah, Blaze, it's not the shiniest, it's not the flashiest, but it just works and it's solid and it just keeps on trucking every single day. I love it. I love Blaze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man,
Yeah,
Blaze has been there for a while.
Blaze and Flux are a long-term play, in my opinion, right? With the technically inflationary project, even though that multiple projects are releasing on them to the point where they might start being deflationary and capped per se. It's very early, even though their Blaze is like almost 200 days old or something like that. So if you're not in the 888 payout right now, you're running out of time.
Mm-hmm. And Blaze has such a small market cap, so the amount of economic energy it's going to take to move it is so small.
It's so tightly bonded with Titan X. It follows Titan X big time. When Titan X starts running, Blaze, man, it just pumps.
And there's a bonding with Inferno as well. But I don't know how thick. It's not that thick. Yeah, I don't know if someone did users add that.
No, that was added by the team, I believe. Initially, okay. It was Inferno and Blaze. Was the initial pair, and then we started building the Titan X because the Jeets were compounding right off the bat on Inferno when we opened up the mint phase because the ROI was so good. They were just dumping it down, and while they were dumping Inferno, they were dumping Blaze at the same time because we were paired with it. And so we started a Titan X pool so they could exit and do their compound. And then we just, kept filling the Titan X pool. So, and then, I don't know, week 3 or 4, Inferno completely turned around, and you guys know the rest of that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I think there's currently two whale positions of Inferno. It's in the Blaze LP. So even if the dollar value looks small, like the percent of supply in there is quite big. So when that actually does start to move in price, when Inferno starts to move in price, and the whole ecosystem, the dollar value can go up so quickly. You might look at it now and be like, oh, there's 25k in LP, but once it does move, it'll be like, oh, wait a second, there's over 100k. How'd that happen? It can happen really quickly. That's one thing people they don't realize, especially with the LP web tokens and these tokens with multiple LPs. They'll look at an LP and be like, oh, it's thin, and then you actually look at, oh wait, the market cap is small. What's the percent of supply that's in there? Oh, it's actually quite thick.
Yeah, there's a billion things that people that haven't been here a while probably have no clue about this ecosystem, like you guys were talking about, as far as the bonding, the pools, all these different things, from the ethos of being paired with Titan X and burning Titan X and all these different things that, it's just basically a powder keg. And once it kicks off, everything kicks off. We've seen it already. So,
yeah,
I think this pullback is a gift. If you're not in yet, this pullback is a gift.
100%. Having that LP with Inferno is actually quite interesting. It's really bullish in my opinion, because what's the percent of supply Inferno's burnt? It's like over 50%.
Almost 61.
Yeah, almost 61 now.
That's ridiculous. 61% of Inferno is gone forever. I'm gonna drop some little alpha for you guys, right? Completely free of charge. Don't worry about it. It's all free of. If you guys look at this, is an interesting stat to look at. Shogun's an LP web and has all these different, LPs with different protocols. The Shogun Inferno LP is very nice. There's literally, it's one of the thickest LPs on the Shogun LP web. Now, what that tells me, now I'm not going to speak for Jake, but what that tells me is that, whoever is controlling adding those LPs is perhaps, maybe, they're quite bullish on Inferno. So what happens when, these are little things you can look for, like, someone is very bullish on Inferno. They've built a strong LP with it. What does that tell you that could potentially happen? Inferno's one of those ones that could be the next Dragon X. What happens to all the coins bonded with Inferno if Inferno was to go on a crazy run? I'm not going to tell you guys like it's going to happen. I don't give out like financial advice or anything, just speaking from the realm of possibility. But what happens when Inferno does go up and you have all these tokens bonded to it? Shogun, Blaze, I believe Flare will be bonded with it. You've got Element 280, Alien X. All these tokens are built on Inferno. Is it just because they like the picture of a bull? Or is it because there's something else behind that everyone's looking at? Maybe it is.
Yeah, maybe. That's a very good point. Every once in a while I check in and see what that Shogun's buying, the Shogun wallet's buying. And I think Inferno was the third largest, right? Only behind,
I think it is, yeah.
Only behind Titan X and X28. Elements also pretty juicy, that pool. So I look and I see what this wallet's buying, and I see like what the biggest pairs are. And to me, it's a little bit of a cheat code, I mean, it's
a cheat code, man.
It's a little. I mean, it's speculative, but it doesn't seem that hard to put, 2 and 2 together.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Like, I don't know why my deck screen, I don't know if it's just my deck screener or if this happens to everyone else, but it bugs out and it doesn't show all the pairs. But if you look at it from these ones here that it just wants to show us, I've ordered this by LP. So you can see obviously X28 at the top. Then you got Titan X. And then you got Inferno, number 3. I think Dragon X should be up there as well. But you got Inferno sitting there, number 3. So Shogun is bullish on Inferno. Obviously, that's the only, it has to be because it wants to have more tighter bonding with it for the price appreciation. Element is not showing up here because my deck screen is bugging out, but Element is really thick as well. So Shogun's bullish on Element. And yeah, that's a little cheat code in the system, guys. I wanted to drop that just so everyone can see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it is crazy. All these pullbacks as well, with like Inferno's only a 1.4 million market cap right now. And yeah, like you were saying, all the projects on top of it benefits. And Flux is the biggest Inferno burner and it scales with Inferno. So if Inferno starts pumping, it still means we have a massive burner just continuing to burn more and more Inferno. It's why I decided to build an Inferno. I'm so bullish on it. I think it's very underrated, in my opinion. Not financial advice, obviously. But yeah, and that is interesting with the Shogun because it kind of gives an insight of potentially what Jake's thoughts are in the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a big marketing push for Inferno when the time is right, Right now, it's probably not money well spent. The entire market's down everywhere. But, when everything gets going, we're going to make a big push for it. So, yeah. Never fade the bull. Never fade the bull.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll say this now. And I said this in, I think it was the Element chat, like maybe a few weeks ago. I'll say this now. One of my biggest regrets, right? In the last Titan X downturn we had, you just think everything's going down, it's boring. You're waiting for day 280 to come. So you're thinking it's going to go lower. I'll build a position later, etc., etc. One of my biggest regrets was just not paying as much attention If I paid more attention, then I would have had thicker bags of all the bot protocols back then. That was super cheap to buy. I remember Marco was literally, he was probably shouting at people on Twitter. He was like, Dragon X, get 1%. It's like $5,000 right now, you know? And if you did that, it was crazy for you. You built, you basically got like 100x or something from there, right? So just think, guys, right now, you think it's going down, it's going to continue to go down, just leave it, not going to add to it. Everyone wants to buy the coins when they're green. No one wants to buy the coins when they're red. You have to buy, like, if you actually want to make the most money in this game, guys, you have to buy the coins when they're red. That's not financial advice, but that's kind of the truth. If you want to obviously get a bigger bag, then you need the coin when it's lower. You get a bigger percentage. So just don't just think, oh, it's boring right now, I'm just going to leave it and wait for green candles and then get interested. This is the time to be interested. You have to be the most interested in the game now. If you build the best bags now, you'll have the best, potential upside in the future. That's just how the game works. If you have no conviction in the system at all, then I'm not going to tell you to leave it, but why are you here, If you have proper conviction in the system, these build on Titan X protocols that you can get for super dirt cheap market caps, you can get 1% supply compared to other protocols that you could just never get close to 1% supply. In my opinion, that's a play to make. These protocols, Inferno, Alien X, Phoenix, Felix, Element 280 stacks, all these protocols, there's so many, Helios, I can't name them all. They're super low MC. What happens when the whole ecosystem was to explode again in the future? That's all I'm saying, guys.
I mean, you only need to look at Titan X. Sorry, you tag on.
Sorry about that, Callum. Yeah, I mean, I think you really just have to reframe your thinking, to, oh no, this is horrible, to, oh yeah, everything's on sale. Especially here because we're so early. This is first cycle, and I shared this the other day. It took 18 months for the first 30 projects to launch on Ethereum. And we've done that in a little over a year, right? And so this is first cycle. I mean, you can get in early, not just Titan X, but every single one of these protocols. You can be an early adopter to all of these. Like, what are we even doing right now? Like, this is what you want. And I've come to the conclusion that everybody wants to be early, but few can handle what comes with being early. And this is what comes with being early. There's uncertainty. You may be doubting yourself. You may be doubting the ecosystem. Who knows? But this is where the money's made right here. With the purchases that you make now, not financial advice, but this is where it happens. This doesn't happen when everything turns green and it starts pumping. This happens now. So it was hard for me to reframe my thinking to, yes, I'm happy when things dump and there's a red day and something's on sale, and it goes against every fiber of your being, until you condition yourself to realize that this is the play you want, 100%. Because still when I see green candles, still part of me wants to FOMO into stuff. And I've been here a little while. It's like, what am I even thinking right now? But when I woke up the other day and I go to my Titan X hub and I'm checking things and I see Volt was just getting murdered. I was like, yeah, I'm buying that right there. I bought that blood and I already have a good position in Volt, but you know what? I added to it.
Insanely cheap at the moment. Volt is one of the ones that's just like, it's so like everything that Steve builds and Steve continues to build with the wheel coming out and everything like that. There are so many discounts in this ecosystem. But yeah, Utah, like you said, I think you just hype me up a little bit there. But it's literally, you got to find the plays that just make sense. And you have to go with your conviction. You don't, obviously, you're kind of, as a human, you want to chase these green candles. It's kind of like built in, but you just have to play it right and really follow your conviction. And if you believe in something, you just got to go for it,
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if anyone caught that. Utah was giving such a great speech and I spilt my tea. The bullishness was so much, my hand, the energy, the kinetic energy was flowing out and it just bang. I spilled my tea all over myself, but I'm good. Don't worry, I cleaned up.
You ketoed your tea.
If oh no, that's tragic. A British man spilling his tea is a terrible thing. Thankfully, I have a pot tea, but we're good.
Isn't that a phrase nowadays? Like if you like spill the tea, like you're telling on somebody or something like that. I've been
Bro,
I don't know what language you kids are speaking these days. I'm telling you.
it's
My son comes over. My son's 18. He comes over for dinner on Sundays, and I'm like, "Where are you from? What are you saying right now? Like, I need a translation, please."
it changes
Urban
so quick,
Dictionary.
man. I think
Yeah.
spilling the tea is like when you have drama or you have something to talk about. Like, so let's say something dramatic's happened. You see someone else in your family or a friend, and you say something happened. Like, you got to spill the tea. Like, what happened, bro?
Yeah.
So yeah. Utah, I can give you, if you need, I'll explain all these terms to you. Then your son, there won't be a translation issue.
Well, I do have the Urban Dictionary, so that's pretty cool. I tell you what, if you're ever bored, just go on the Urban Dictionary and just scroll and look at some of the new phrases and words people are coming up with. Now, this is not, Disney rated, okay? Some of this stuff is a little bit harsh, but it is indeed funny.
But it's so funny. There's some stuff I'm not gonna say it on stream, but there's some funny differences between how some words are used in America and how they're used in the UK. I'm not gonna say on stream, but there's just some words that in America you would say it and it would be so it would be like rude, like disrespectful. Like people would be like, "What are you saying?" It's in the UK, it means something completely different.
Yeah, I've experienced some of that with the Blaze team in our private chats. Some of the things they say, I was like, bro, like you don't say those things to people, man. Like, what did you just say? You do not ever say that in the United States. That's like the worst thing you could ever do. And they just laugh, and it's like throw certain words around all day and stuff like that. It's like, so yeah, it's only in crypto, right? You get to build with people from all over the world, and you've never even met them in person. And you get all this, exposure to different cultures, and it's very neat. It's very neat.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, where were we? Just before I interrupted everyone with the big spillage, I think Utah was talking about the point I was mentioning about the getting in now at the low MCs.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. What's your guys' thoughts on that? Smooth. I don't know if you.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's kind of what goes back to what I was saying with projects releasing with a kind of lower sediment market, with growing at these low points. When things start going bullish, they grow even faster. So there's obviously a little give and take on releasing during the times and buying during these times. But at the end of the day, if you have conviction, you have long-term view on everything, it's just going to be even better. And I've always said it's about coin accumulation. It's not really about price as much. And it's hard to really commit to that when things look at this red across everything, right? I mean, so much stuff is waiting for a big macro event to really catalyst the whole entire global market. So it's not just crypto, it's gold, it's stocks. I mean, everything. So yeah, I love lower markets, and a couple of people in my family, my girlfriend, don't like me buying stuff as much as I do, but at the end of the day, it's my money, so whatever.
Yeah, I think I remember Jake saying once that sometimes when you're buying a coin, especially during a bear market and it's like really down, you almost feel like this kind of uneasiness buying it, right? Like this like slightly anxiousness, or like the coin's so down, etc., etc. But sometimes that means it could potentially mean you're literally getting the best entry as well. So yeah, I know it's not easy to do, but yeah, like you said, if you have conviction in the ecosystem, then it just makes sense to build up these percent of supply. Like you said, don't look at necessarily the dollar value, just look at how much percent of the supply you own, and that's the way to make the most in this game. It's just facts, right? Like if you get percent of supply on low MCs and they absolutely moon,
especially on capped coins as well. I mean, for the most part, a lot of these projects in the ecosystems are capped deflationary. So if you get a good percentage now, no matter what happens tomorrow, you're gonna have a bigger percentage. So it's if you want a big bag, it takes some grit and some hard work, really.
Cryptographics, bro, you got that divine timing. Shout out to Cryptographics, bro. Came at 88-minute mark.
Did
That's
you guys
crazy.
see my live with Cryptographics the other day? My mic was so messed up, and I had no idea. I sounded like sounded like the guy ratting in the shadow with like the voice, the deep voice and stuff like that. I had no idea my mic was that messed up, and I watched. I'm like, dude, I did a 2-hour stream with this deep vocal. It's crazy. So,
Bro, that reminds me of
Steve didn't say anything about it, so I didn't even know.
that reminds me of my first stream. I didn't have any lighting.
Oh, his Wi-Fi wants to. Yeah, his Wi-Fi went before Smooth, so it might have just gone again, I think.
Yeah.
I want to know, how's it in? Because, guys, there's a huge catalyst potentially coming in the next couple of weeks, right? Trump's going to officially come into office. I think that could be huge, like Smooth, like you're talking about, for stocks in general, for all markets, and obviously crypto as well. So what's it kind of like in the States at the moment with him almost coming in?
Stuff's getting shaken up, to say the least. I mean,
Yeah.
Things are happening. He's not even in power, and a lot of stuff is already changing. And, I don't know if people like or dislike Trump and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, this guy makes stuff happen. And he's not even in office yet, and he has more say than like even Biden. So it's like wild to even see that. But overall, I'm really hoping that's one of the catalysts, if not the catalyst, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, we saw it on November 5th, right? The market started pumping. So I can only imagine what the next kind of 4 years have in store because, yeah, like you said, hate him or love him, the markets absolutely love Trump. And he could be, kind of pro into kind of Bitcoin and everything because obviously his sons are super into it as well. I saw them with, I think it was Michael Saylor, one of his sons was. So, yeah, I can't wait for him to come into office. I think it was going to be really good for kind of crypto in general and then obviously Titan X as well.
Yeah, what do you think, Utah?
Yeah, well, I want to comment on what Cryptographics is saying right here because I saw that also. And I don't know, seems to me, like Biden's just coming in and trying to wreck as much as possible before he leaves office, no surprise there. I'm not going to get too political, but
yeah, I don't want to get too political.
I don't want to get too political, but Joe's screwing everything up again, So, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, if they dump that, what do I think about it? I think it sucks because if they do dump that, it's going to affect price. But you know what? It's prolonging the inevitable. This bull run's coming. This bull run's happening. This time is not any different, in my opinion. I mean, we have the data now to prove how this works, and it does it every 4 years. I have zero doubt that this bull run is happening. This is happening. It's just a matter of when, in my opinion. And yeah, it's so bullish, getting Trump in. And I mean, you're seeing leaders of countries around the world that are like resigning, like stepping down, like because they know, they're it's not going to be pretty for them if they stay on board. Because what they've been doing the last, 4 years or whatever, like it's not business as usual anymore in the United States. Let's get back to what it needs to be, firepower economy. And I'll tell you what, I'll never forget, I mean, it was a really epic moment for me. I was on stream with Mo and Jake, and I think maybe Kool-Aid on election night, and you could actually see the states flipping red on the graphics on the chart and Bitcoin price going up at like the same rate. It was like, and for me, like in my crypto life, like for me, that was like an epic moment. I was like, oh man, I so bullish, so bullish.
Yeah, there must definitely be some timing behind this selling, this green light for the government to sell their Bitcoin. Like that's got to be timed meticulously. You know,
you're a
very
conspiracy
purposefully.
theorist, man. No way, right? No way.
Sorry, guys. Maybe I should get my cap back on. Put my cap back on. It's just got to be timed, man. They're just trying to like put some FUD into the market, you know, and things like that. But thing is, like, okay, $6.8 billion. Can they even dump all that in one clip? Like, obviously not. They'll absolutely wreck their own bags doing that, right? So even if they do decide to sell, how much realistically can they sell and still make decent, like, still have a decent amount of bag from that?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
I hate to cut it off. I got to get out of here. I got to stream with the Ascendant Twins and stuff like that. So, yeah, appreciate you having me on, guys. And, you know, obviously I'll jump on stream with you guys in the future, and appreciate your time, man.
Thank you for coming on, Smooth. It's always great to have
Smooth.
you, man. I love the support, and have a
Take
good
care,
one.
Smooth. Mustache
Everyone
looks
check out
great,
his
buddy.
stream.
Thanks, man. We're I told my girlfriend it sucks that, you know, I'm gonna have to grow this thing out all year, or at least until Flare launches. That's perfect. So. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Peace.
I'll see you
Okay,
later.
bye.
Yeah, Canada and Greenland and Mexico, right, could apparently join the US, or be brought up by the US, or
as someone
Trump's
not in
talking about it, right? It's crazy.
I don't know much about like politics on that side of like things. So what do you guys think? Like, if you guys know about that, what's the main reason for adding extra states?
I did not see any of this coming. So, and I don't follow politics super closely just because you can't trust anything on mainstream media anymore. I mean, so I don't really I try not to give it too much energy or effort, you know, but I did not see that coming. So it's kind of coming out of left field to me. And I think he's just coming in, you know, kind of, you know, hey, there's a new kid on the block kind of thing. Greenland caught me off guard. I have no clue what his purpose would be there. Some kind of strategic something. Who knows, man? Maybe they got a ton of oil. I don't know. But you know, I don't know what's going on. But I do know one thing. We've never had such a pro crypto president in the history of crypto. And, you know, there's countries buying up Bitcoin for reserves and things like that. And he's smart enough to know, just like he says, why would you stop this innovation and get left behind? Why wouldn't you capture that value and be the superpower of it? And he's 100% correct. So I'm super bullish on Trump coming into office for crypto. About all this other stuff, I really don't know. I don't have too much of an opinion. But you're pro crypto, you're my man.
I really hope that the UK follows suit on their crypto stances with America. I'm not sure if it will happen, but otherwise we're going to get left behind with like the Bitcoin reserve and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, I hope that, because more countries are now competing to build a Bitcoin reserve, I hope the UK follows suit with that. One thing I was wondering is, from a country perspective, let's say, especially if you're a smaller country, I feel like you either have two options, right? Either you buy Bitcoin now, like you buy before America buy, or the US, because they're basically the biggest player, or you take a bit more risk, perhaps, and buy up Ethereum. Are we going to start seeing Ethereum reserves? You know what I mean? Because like you can get a much bigger percent. Maybe I need to give these guys some crypto advice, but like, look, guys, you can get a bigger percent of the supply. You know what I mean?
Well, if they follow the same pattern as the ETFs, then yes. I would say yes,
that's the
right?
thing, yeah, because the ETFs came Bitcoin first, then Ethereum. What happens if countries, because Ethereum is almost a cap supply, kind of, right? It's like inflationary, but then also not like, it's not like super inflationary. It's almost like a cap supply. So, yeah, I mean, will countries follow suit?
I think countries are going to take Bitcoin more seriously because there's no really central authority. It's basically like digital gold, isn't it? There's no central actor or central person, but with Ethereum, it's more like a company kind of, because there's a lot of things that can kind of develop through it. But I think that's why Bitcoin's so popular is because there's only a certain amount and the code's completely set. I mean, you can update it obviously, but it's just like having digital gold. And I think, yeah, if the US does buy it, I think other countries are definitely going to follow suit. So it's going to be interesting. Maybe with Ethereum, that would be interesting to see. But I think it makes more sense for countries to be buying up Bitcoin, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just happy they're going to be holding stuff that they can't just print out of thin air.
100%.
100%. Callum, do you know if the UK are building Bitcoin reserves? I haven't seen it, but maybe they are.
No, but if Trump, like if America starts buying up, countries are going to follow suit, like no matter what. And if they don't, they're just going to be left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, they have to. Like, there's no, like, you're just going to get left behind. Like, I can't see why we wouldn't do it, but you never know. You never know.
I mean, can you imagine the hype? I mean, has there ever been a bigger hype event than the United States starts buying Bitcoin and other countries start following suit? I mean, what kind of bull run are we in for?
You know,
what kind of alt season are we in for?
Literally.
You know, and we're down here in such small market cap stuff. The slingshot effect from situations like that, what it could do for Titan-X, and then if you go even further down the rabbit hole, all these leverage plays on Titan-X. Oh man, it's so awesome.
You know, it's funny because it reminds me of the you know, like when Richard was like talking about the top of the adoption curve for Bitcoin. He was like, Bitcoin, the richest man's already bought it, this and this and this. Well, now America, the United States of America are buying it, man. It's like, I think that's got to be the highest high when the world countries adopt it. That's got to be the biggest thing. We're not quite the. I don't know if aliens exist, but if they do, maybe they'll come down and buy it as well. Perhaps that's bigger, but yeah.
I think the country that's going to win is the country that starts printing their currency to buy up Bitcoin. That's going to be the country which is going to just prevail. And I really like Michael Saylor, and he says that a lot, like Microsoft rejected like a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And it's a very good point. It's like they don't need it. That's such a huge company. But for his company, when it was failing, it was like looking for an answer. And when you're desperate, you really do your research. If you're fine and you're comfortable with what you have, you're not really looking for anything new. So maybe the countries that are kind of like hyperinflating or they have issues with their economy, they're going to start turning to Bitcoin as like an alternative. And then it's going to be like a snowball effect, because possibly for the bigger countries like China or Russia, for example, they don't really need to worry about it. But I mean, yeah, I think that in my head, I thought this was all going to happen over like the next decade. But yeah, like Utah said, it's all happening right now. And then America is potentially the global superpower is going to start buying it. Just propels that whole timeline in such a short amount of time. And yeah, this bull run of all this happening at once is going to be insane. And the slingshot effect it's going to have on Ethereum, and then Ethereum onto Titan-X, and then Titan-X onto all these building Titan-X projects is just going to be, I think, like nothing we've seen before. Exactly.
It's a massive leverage. Like, it's crazy. And just one step back quickly, Cryptographic said there's only 820 million in sell-side liquidity. I knew Cryptographic was the man that would know all these numbers. There you go. So they can't even sell all of it anyway. So if you're the US government right now, you have $6.8 billion. Like, obviously you can't just sell that all now. So what they're going to do, I don't know what they're going to do, but they can't even dump it all because they absolutely destroy their bags. So it's going to be interesting. And Keto Natural said Bhutan are planning to add ETH and BNB, Binance, the Binance coin, to their reserves, apparently. So, yeah, that was along the lines of what I was thinking we could see. It's going to be interesting. Like, if countries do decide to do that, then that's really cool. Because buying ETH or BNB or these other coins now could be like, was it El Salvador who were buying Bitcoin like when it was probably half the price, or at the bottom of I think they were buying Bitcoin at like the bottom of the last bear, right?
I think they're buying 100 a day is their kind of strategy.
Yeah. So they've made nice profit. unlike Germany. Germany took a massive L. They sold at 50k. Massive L, man.
They're just gonna have to buy back higher.
They will. Good luck to them. Was there anything else you wanted to say? We've been going for a good amount of time, so
Utah,
guys
you
want
can
to
go
say
first. Any closing remark?
There's opportunity everywhere if you know where to look for it. We got 10 days left of stacks minting, and after that, close forever. Nice ROI too. If you don't want to mint an NFT, you can mint tokens, 48-hour cooldown before you can sell them. But I think right now it's around 38% ROI, and don't fumble right now. It would be a huge mistake to fumble right now. If you don't have fresh powder, you don't have to do anything. Your best bet is to do nothing. Not financial advice, but sit on your hands, turn off the computer, and go walk your dog. Appreciate you two having the stream. I just wanted to jump on. It's good to see, you guys over here, the youngsters over here, dropping the alpha, getting us all pumped up. I'm getting excited now. We started talking about all this stuff. Now I'm getting pumped. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Utah, man. I would love to do more with you. And this was actually our first time with you on the stream, so it was great to have you on. Thank you for coming by, checking in on the chat, checking in on the stream, and then jumping on. I would love to do more with you, dude, everyone else. So yeah, man, let me know your availability and we'll sort something out.
For sure. I'd love to do that. So I'll speak with dude. We need to start streaming more on stacks. We got some giveaways to do, some NFTs.
That's amazing. Hit me up and I'm there, bro. Let's do it. By the way, guys, before we actually end stream, I will get to my question that I dropped right at the start. But obviously for the guests on the stream, that's up to them if they want to stay for that. So yeah. Any words, Callum?
Yeah, I'll just second what Utah said. Yeah, when you really think about the market conditions we're in right now, outside of Titan X and everything that's going on, and then you zoom into Titan X as a whole, everything's lining up so perfectly. Like, obviously we're in this little pullback, but don't forget what's coming. How it literally feels like fate. Like everything's lined up, and I cannot wait to see. I think 2025 is going to be insane. I think Titan X is going to have a Hex kind of story behind it. And yeah, there's only like 2 days left until Phoenix is completely capped, and it's 121k market cap, leveraging Inferno, which obviously we talked a lot in the stream. So bullish on Inferno, bullish on Phoenix as well. So yeah, check out Phoenix. So thanks for having me on, Jukes. You're doing a great job with the streams.
Thank you, my friend. Obviously, you were the first that I streamed with, so I was like, quiz break is over. What a better person to bring on than Callum himself, because you were my first stream, so I want to do more with you, and I feel like we have good good streams together, so it was a pleasure to do them, and
yeah,
I'm sure we'll do more in the future and things.
For sure.
So it's up to you guys if you want to stay. I'm going to give a little lecture on logic quickly, and yeah,
I've just got to jump out. Actually, I've got to go get some food. But thanks for having me on again. I really appreciate it.
That's what
I'm gonna have to drop off also, but I'll be listening in the background while I'm doing my stuff. So awesome.
That's good. I won't ramble for too long.
See you guys in a bit.
All right, take care.
Yeah, take care. Okay, it's actually just me now. This is actually the first time that I've been like midstream and it's just me. Hopefully the viewer count doesn't drop to 0. So I'm gonna drop something that's different to crypto. If you guys know me, you know that I'm into many different things, and I like to talk a little bit about these things as well. I know a lot of people in our ecosystem are very into their spirituality and into these different types of things. So this subject is somewhat related to that. People may think it's not related to that, but I think it's very related to all of these things. And the question I asked at the start of the stream for anyone who joined in after was, what is logic? Does anyone know what logic is? Like, what is the study of logic? Let's go. We've got cryptographics here, man. This guy's always pumped for this if anyone knows what is logic, this is essentially the question I have. Because for people who don't know, we're basically going through a pandemic, okay? A pandemic of bad education. Our education system has completely abandoned some of the most core subjects that were studied for literally thousands of years, and they're super important subjects. So nowadays, when you go to school, right, what do you study? You study maths, very important. English, very important. But the study of logic is taken out of the syllabus. Like, this is crazy. We live in a time of the education system is terrible. We don't even teach our children logic anymore. Like, how does that even make any sense? Like, logic should be so fundamental because it's a subject that it's teaching you how to use your mind effectively. Okay, so I'm going to break it down for you guys very quickly. I should have prepared a quick slide for this. But essentially, when you hear like logic, right? Most people, and this is really interesting, most people think like, supernatural stuff. They think, supernatural stuff is illogical. Because this is what people think. Something supernatural happened, that's illogical. Or religious experiences, spiritual experiences, people think these things are illogical. And the reason people think these things are illogical is because they never studied logic. They use the term in a different sense here. Instead, the term, I know what they mean when people say that. What they mean is that said subject or the phenomena that happened, if it's supernatural, people think they say it's illogical, but actually it's not natural. It's not a physical, naturalistic event that we seek and observe through the universe via cause and effect. That's what people mean. That does not mean that something, whether it's supernatural, miracle, whatever it is, religious experience, that this thing is illogical. So you can see very easily in people's minds that because we've taken logic out of the syllabus, that people now, because we're just taught science, we think everything has to be explained in scientific terms, which it doesn't have to be explained in purely scientific terms. If you guys study philosophy, you'll know that science can't explain itself. It needs principles beyond itself. Hold on, we have a question here from Codographics. Sounds like people are conflating on irrational experience with an illogical experience. Yeah, well, that's interesting. Irrational and illogical, because irrational is kind of as a term related to illogical as a term, right? But in a sense, I see what you're saying. People are basically conflating something being unnatural as in a natural event from the physical universe, and they conflate that with it being illogical. So what is the study of logic? Logic is the study, and by the way, logic was studied for thousands of years. The father of logic is Aristotle. Aristotle, in my opinion, is the most academic human to ever exist on the face of this planet. Super interesting guy. Almost every subject we study today originates from him. I mean, how insanely intelligent do you have to be to father so many different subject fields? But Aristotle was the father of logic as we know it today. And essentially, logic is the study of the human mind and what we refer to as the acts of the human mind. So the human mind has various acts. So yeah, so once we study logic, the idea is we are able to, it's not like, how do I explain this? For example, I'm going to explain it with an example. With grammar, the human brain is an incredible thing. You don't even need to study grammar to be able to grammatically speak correct sentences. It's the same with logic. You don't have to study logic. You can still have a logical mind that thinks logically. But by studying logic, your mind will be sharper when it comes to any task that is logical, right? So the three acts of the mind. The acts of the mind that you'll study are three. I don't know if you can see my fingers. There's three acts of the mind. The first one is called simple comprehension. The second one is called judgment. And the third one is simply arguments. These are the three acts of the mind. These are three primary modes through which your mind operates in. Okay? So, what is simple apprehension? Simple apprehension is simply your mind's ability to understand a concept. a simple concept. So a simple concept, it could be my nicotine pouch. You see my nicotine pouch? That's a simple concept. Or a simple concept could be an apple. Simple concept could be the concept of man. Our mind can grasp these concepts. Okay? Now, what are concepts? That's a whole nother discussion. Philosophy goes deep into what concepts are. Like, what are concepts, right? Like, where do they exist? How does our mind know concepts? If all our minds know the same concepts, then does that mean we all know the same things? Or does that mean that our knowledge, when we have knowledge of something, is all connected? So these concepts, these side discussions are very deep. But the first act of the mind is simply the act of simple comprehension, our mind's ability to comprehend simple concepts. That's number one. Number two is judgment. When you think of judgment, you think of maybe going out to a family gathering and there's being some uncle or auntie and they're judging you for dressing in a certain way or something. That's not what we mean when we talk about judgment in this respect. Judgment is simply the way your mind can relate two concepts together to make what we call in logic a proposition. Okay, so two concepts, for example, the concept of man or human and the concept of mortality. These are two concepts, and our mind relates them together through what's called predication. So we say, man is mortal. That one sentence is what we call a proposition. Okay, I should have really drawn this out. It would have been a bit easier to explain. But you have these concepts, and we relate them together through predication into propositions. Okay, so that's what the second act of the mind does. We do this all the time. You might say cryptographics has a nice beard. We've related cryptographics to nice beard. Hopefully that's not too hard to understand, right? The third act of the mind is arguments. What are arguments? Arguments are simply having different propositions, usually two, it can be more, but starting with two propositions, and through these two propositions, you reach a conclusion. So you basically derive a new proposition from the previous two. That's what an argument is. So basically, what that would be in this respect would be if I had proposition one. So what's a proposition? Two concepts, you relate them together. Proposition one could be something like every human is mortal. Okay. Proposition two could be Socrates is a man. Then the conclusion, Socrates is mortal. That's what you call a logically valid argument. Okay. And that's basically a very simplistic understanding of what logic is. When you study logic, you understand truly how concepts work, how propositions work, how arguments work. You can formulate better arguments. You can easily see logical flaws, logical errors that people are making. You know, you might be discussing something with someone and they'll say something completely random, and that's like a red herring argument. That's a red herring logical fallacy. So by studying logic, you will study logical fallacies. If any of you are interested in any resources, then I'd recommend the book called Socratic Logic. I think it's written by, is it Peter Crete, something like that. Super good book. You don't need a lot of books on logic. That one book is a very, very, very comprehensive guide through the whole subject. And why is logic important? How does it relate to, you know, spirituality or these things? Logic to philosophy, okay, is the same relationship that mathematics has to physics. Physics can't stand on its own in the modern day without mathematics. You need both. Similarly, for those who are joining now, I can see we're getting some people actually joining. That's incredible. I'm giving a little logic philosophy lesson. We're almost at the end. The same way physics needs maths to explain itself, philosophy needs logic. Relationships work together. How does logic define intuitive knowingness of experienced knowingness beyond logic and time? I can't explain, usually from dreams. That's a very good question. Let's say about intuitiveness. Well, let me say it like this. when you study logic, you'll find there are certain propositions which are almost the foundation of all knowledge. Okay, these propositions, I'll give you one for example, is the proposition of it's called the law of non-contradiction. So the actual laws of logic themselves, okay, like the law of non-contradiction, which states that, you know, something cannot be its opposite. If I have 1 and I have -1, I have nothing. Okay, law of non-contradiction. Mathematics wouldn't work as a subject. If the law of contradiction was not a thing, mathematics itself would not exist. It's one of the most fundamental laws of all human thought. Now, these laws, we don't derive them from anywhere. When you're born, you're not taught these things. Your mind doesn't need to be explained these things, but your mind already knows these things. No epistemological model, no model of knowledge can explain these base level propositions, okay, like the laws of logic. So how does that relate to your question in cryptographics about intuitive knowingness? These propositions are already known through the soul. The soul already knows them at a base level, okay? And with intuitive knowledge or intuitive experiences, knowing through experiences, obviously knowledge is related to the study of logic. It's slightly different. It's slightly more in the philosophy realm, because you could have a proposition that you've known through intuitive knowledge that you then use in an argument. Now, yeah, but what I'm saying is those base propositions, we can't prove. Like, I can't prove to you the law of non-contradiction from other propositions. Like I told you guys, an argument is, you have the argument at the bottom, and then you have different propositions above it, and they prove it. But these base level laws, they can't be proven through other ones. That's why they're the base. So that basically the conclusion you can draw from it is the soul itself has knowledge integral to it. I also believe moral knowledge is integral to the soul. And another interesting point to mention on this topic here is, when it comes to intuitive knowledge, can anyone think of a concept which is intuitive? Because when people say I have intuitive knowledge, some people who perhaps haven't had said experience, they might think that's some crazy thing, like I've never had that, why should I believe in that, etc., etc. Guys, intuitive knowledge can be thought of as a way of gaining knowledge without needing a descriptive concept to be explained or experienced in the physical world. Can anyone think of knowledge which we have, which is beyond definition? Maybe I have to do another stream on this. There's one concept that the human mind cannot define. I wonder if anyone knows. I'm going to give you guys a second while I sip my tea, and I'll explain cryptographics question in a bit more detail in a second. Thank you, Revo. Thank you, Revo. If anyone knows, there's one concept that, just regardless of where you're from in the world, you can't define it. It's undefinable. I wonder if anyone knows. If you guys get me into the mood, I'm gonna have to pull up a book in a second. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna say it because it's probably something I don't think. God's a very good answer. God relates to it. Because perhaps this thing is God, but it's technically true, graphics. But when we say God, people get scared. So I like to sometimes stay away from these theological terms. But yeah, technically that's true. So the concept, by the way, is the concept of existence. Existence itself is undefinable. You can't define it. There is no definition which works, because every definition will be circular. Imagine you defined existence as existence is something that exists. Existence is something which is self-realized into its being, and its being is real. Real, the term real, being, and existence are all synonymous. If I said something has reality, that's just saying something has existence. If I said something has being, that just means something has existence. So how do we define existence? We can't. Think about it, guys. No one can define existence, but we intuitively know what it means. If I said to you, this place exists. If I said to you, Australia exists, you know what I mean when I say that Australia exists. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to think, what does existence mean again? Oh yeah, Australia no. You don't even know the definition. Your mind can't define the term, but you intuitively know what it means. We've got some theories here from Revo. But as I was saying, I'll look at that in a second. The mind cannot define existence. And the mind can't define infinity as well. The mind can't define God. One of the biggest failures of but existence is the term, like it's the top term that can't be defined. Why? What's one good reason why it can't be defined? I'll give you. Think about it like this, guys. Yeah, every explanatory term, every term we use, because what's a definition? It's explaining something. It's describing something, right? Every descriptive term, every explanatory term in any language in the world, that term is ultimately explained by existence. It's below existence. Think about existence, the top dog, is the top thing. Everything else, because if existence didn't exist, if there was no existence, if we only had non-existence, then nothing else would be. So everything else is below existence. So existence explains everything. That means nothing can explain existence. Do you guys get it? However, the concept of existence, we intuitively know what it means. How does that relate to God? And if you guys look into any philosophical tradition, particularly in the Islamic world, that being the likes of Ibn Sina, that being the likes of Al-Farabi, Al-Kindi, the Greek philosophers, all of these philosophers, and I'm sure Jewish and Christian philosophers like I forgot his name now, Thomas Aquinas, etc., big Catholic philosopher. They all say that God is existence. God's essence, God's being, what makes God God is existence. God is pure existence. So I'll just drop that one there. We'll probably have to discuss that more in detail later. But God is pure existence. God is existence at the highest level, the highest degree. I actually shared a post about this yesterday. And essentially what I said was, I'll just get it up for you guys 1 second. I'm actually going to pull this up because this image kind of explains it a bit. Okay, this is my Twitter page. I hope you guys have seen this. This is my Twitter page. Okay, so I shared this image with you guys the other day on Twitter. Now, this is essentially what we refer to as the Neoplatonic view of the world, of existence. Essentially, what this does is it kind of breaks existence down into different levels. Okay, so at the top level, we have the one. The one. The one is simply the one. In theological terms, we refer to this as God. Muslims refer to this as God. Jews refer to this as God, because this tradition, Neoplatonic, exists within different religions, right? Islam, Judaism, Christianity, they all have different ways of implementing the system into their own theology. So different religions have called this God, the one. Okay, and some who are into, different religions will understand that in some religions, like in Islam, God is called Ahad, and Ahad means the one. So that's why in the Islamic world, these ideas, they liked it a lot. And then you have the nous. The nous is translated in today as the intellect. The intellect is the second level of existence. It's the first emanation of the one, is the nous. So the nous is the perfect creation. It's the top level of existence. It has the least level of imperfection. The next level would be the soul. I prefer using the term the imaginal world, so the world of imagination. So think about what could exist in this divine mind, in the intellect. Going back to the intellect, concepts, mathematics, physics, laws of physics, laws of all of these laws that we discover, and we discover in our own minds, we discover through mathematics. Where do these exist? These exist in this divine mind. Okay. We're connecting, our soul is connecting upwards. And the soul is, or the imaginal world, is the world where imagination, the level of existence where we have imagination. Okay. And this material world is just simply the physical spectrum of this existence hierarchy. Okay. So each one creates the other in terms of directly. So the world here is created directly by the world soul, or the imaginal realm causally creates this world. I can go on too many tangents, so I don't want to go too deep, but yeah, otherwise you guys are going to have me talking forever. Enlightenment is a pure, I'm just going to read through some of the comments quickly. It is a purifying of perception, returning to the understanding that you are the perfect creation, created only to extend that which God is, and that you are not separate from God. And that's why studies and experience have led me. So that's super interesting graphics, because what you would find in certain spiritual doctrines or philosophical doctrines across all of, different religions. So I come from the Islamic religion, so that's the perspective I speak from. Is you'll find almost the exact same thing people say. So I think in more Eastern traditions, like in Buddhism, they speak a lot about enlightenment. In the Islamic world, they'll speak about witnessing God, okay, divine witnessing, and it's a purifying of perception, returning to understanding that you are the perfect creation. So the way we would rephrase this in my understanding is, enlightenment would be your soul actually connecting. So if I go back to my image here, I hope you guys can see this image. I don't think you can. Hold on. Can I make it bigger? So it would be your soul connecting back to the nous. And the nous is the perfect creation. Do you see? Do you see how these things are so related? They're so similar. So enlightenment would be that your soul elevates its existence, its level of existence, and it connects back to this nous, connects back to this intellect, which we refer to as the perfect creation. So it's so interesting how you have different traditions, but they are very similar. Something which is created only to extend that which is God. So in the tradition I come from, we would say the manifestation of God. So it's essentially the same. So interesting. I love to see, people from different traditions and how similar they are. Revo, God is enlightenment, surely. You know Papaji? I don't know Papaji. I've never heard of this. But if you want to explain, then go for it. My theory is we receive a download of the present when we hit a certain time in the womb, but ultimately we are living a dream. It's like a movie, the whole damn thing. A download of the present when we hit a certain time in the womb. That's an interesting theory. But ultimately we're living in a dream. Well, there's something definitely dreamlike or hypnotic about life. The whole of life is a psychedelic experience sometimes. So I feel. Yeah, there's so much I can say. Like I could speak about this stuff forever. I literally spend days and nights researching this stuff. And I will do this little segment in my streams for you guys if it's something which people are genuinely interested in. Otherwise, if it's not, okay, I just clicked off my thing and now it's super large. Yeah, if it's not, I'm not gonna dox people's names and my messages. Then yeah, that's not something I'm gonna do. But if it's something you guys like to see, I am more than happy to do it for you guys. 100% stable dream. DeFi is saying we're in a dream. It's interesting, man. The subject is so fascinating. I truly believe there is no right answer to the subject because it's trying to take it. That's a really good point, graphics. You know, so many people can witness the same thing, but the way their minds interpret that same thing is different. And that's why you will find differences between different traditions, but there's an idea that they're speaking about the same thing. They're just using different language to describe the same thing. So yeah, it's super interesting. I agree with you that it's not necessarily that there's one right answer. It can simply be that we're all experiencing the same divine truth, and people explain things in different parts of the world, in different contexts, in different religious languages, in different ways, but they actually are talking about the same thing. That is actually a view out there that's held. If you guys are interested in reading on that, read the works of René Guénon, a French philosopher. I probably butchered his name. And I think he's one of the main ones who speaks about that stuff. The other guy is his name's escaping me. Exactly that. 100% cryptographics. Most major religious figures speak to their people in a tongue and in a language that their people can understand, because they can't truly fully understand it. I'll give you guys a good example. Let's say I'm a teacher and I have a class and I'm teaching them a lesson. Let's say it's maths, just for example's sake. If I'm teaching something in maths, not every student in my class have the same ability. Some of them have a higher ability than others. Some of them are more gifted. Some of them have studied more. Some of them understand more than others. Okay, that's natural. What do you do as a teacher? Do you just teach the best pupils? Do you just explain things so only the best teachers can understand them? The best students can understand them? Of course not. That wouldn't make any sense. You'll be leaving everyone else behind. So what you do is you teach it in a way that everyone in the room can understand it at a basic level. You need to be able to teach things to people who are not the super most elite in intelligence. You have to break things down for people in a way that they understand, in a language that they understand. Those special pupils, you can give them better training later on. You can still explain things to them in a more complicated way, but you want to speak to people so that they can understand. If you're a religious figure, if you're a prophet, you're sent by God, and then you spoke to people and no one understood you, then what's the point of you coming? You need to be able to explain things to people so they understand. This example, by the way, was given by a Muslim philosopher called Ibn Rushd. In the West, he's called Averroes. He's an extremely important philosopher. We actually know most of what we know of Aristotle because of this man. He lived in the latter part of his life in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. So you'll find that in Jewish philosophy, they have a lot of respect for Ibn Rushd. And it was ultimately through them that this philosophy got to the West. And then his works were later adopted by both Jewish and Christian theological thinkers. And the Renaissance in Europe began because of this knowledge that was gifted to them through that passageway, largely through that passageway. So that example comes from an extremely intelligent man. He was an Aristotelian philosopher. He was born, I believe, in what was back then Muslim Spain, which is now just Spain. But I believe he lived in North Africa for most of his life. So if you guys are interested in Ibn Rushd, he's a very, very interesting figure. We understand Aristotle because of this guy. Yeah, you guys understand it. If we become enlightened today, we would struggle in the same way, lol. One thing on this as well is so one of the big philosophers that came out of the Persian world, the Muslim Persian world, was a man named Mullah Sadra. Mullah Sadra is an extremely interesting philosopher. He is super famous. He lived around 400 years ago. He's a massively influential figure in the world of philosophy. And he summed up the philosophical and spiritual journey into 4 journeys. I can't remember all 4 of them, but the first journey, he calls it in Arabic, min khalq ila haq, in Arabic, which translates to from creation, from the creation the first journey of a human soul is from creation towards al-haq, and al-haq means the truth, it means reality. So the first journey the human soul must undergo is this journey, that you come from the creation and you go towards the reality. This journey, most people complete this journey when they die. They complete the journey upon death. They go back and they realize, hold on a second, they've gone back to the truth, the reality. The job of a mystic is to, or the job of someone in the spiritual world or the religious world, is to make this journey when they're alive. There's a bit of desperation. There's a bit of you can't wait. You don't want to wait until you're dead. You want to experience this actually during your life. This journey back to the source, back to al-haq. And in the Islamic faith, al-haq is one of the names of God. So there's a connection there. Okay, guys. I can't believe my I didn't know that I've been going on for so long. We've been going on for 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 20 seconds when I looked. What are the odds? I can speak about this so much in depth. I love this stuff. I studied this stuff. I will refer you guys to some. Yeah, this I could do a full stream on this stuff. Like this stuff, I can't stop talking about this stuff. But yeah, the philosophical tradition. Look, guys, I'm down, dude. Cryptographics, I'm down. Hit me up. We'll do one, man. We'll do a whole stream on this stuff. I have the deepest fascination in this because that's what I'm about. People ask these questions: why are we here? What's going on? What's going on? Guys, this is what life is all about. People ask this question. Imagine life is like you wake up on a train and you're moving in a direction and you never ask why you got on the train to begin with. I don't understand personally. My own belief is I don't understand how people can just live life and they don't even think about these things. But like I said, it's not for everyone. Okay. So for those wondering, I'm just going to quickly share my screen. So this is Mullah Sadra, for those wondering. His philosophical tradition is still alive and very well. Is very well breathing, and it's a very big philosophical tradition. He was of Persian descent, so his tradition is the most studied in Iran today. But there's a big translation movement. There's people translating a lot of his stuff into English. He, in my opinion, is the most in my opinion, he after Ibn Sina, he's the greatest philosophical mind from that part of the world. Other than that, then I think it's probably Plato and Aristotle fighting for the next big top spot, in my opinion. But yeah, you have him, and he wrote the book called the Afsar, which means the four journeys. Well, the full book name is very long, but it's shortened to the Afsar. The full book name is the Al-Hikmat al-Muta'aliya fi al-Asfar al-Aqari al-Arba. That's the full book name, but it's essentially combining philosophy with spirituality and how by studying philosophy you raise the level of your soul as well. So there's that. Anyway, stop sharing. But yeah, guys, I would love to do a stream on this. I'm gonna dip. I've got to get some food in, and I could talk about this for a long time. Maybe I'll prepare some little segments in my next streams, and we'll do this more if people like it. I'm glad to see people do like it. So yeah, we'll do this again. Don't forget what I spoke to you guys about logic. Everyone should study it. I will make sure when I have children, they will study logic. It's so important for people to understand logic. It's like trying to study physics and not know mathematics. You can't. You need maths. You need logic. So we live in a pandemic of bad education. But anyway, I'm not gonna stop rambling. I said I'll be short, and I think I've been on for quite a while. So thank you guys, everyone who has participated today. Thank you to Callum for coming on. Thank you to Utah Crypto. Thank you to we had Smooth in Crypto. Thank you, Graphics, for joining. I'm very appreciative that you came on. You spent a lot of time with us. You came on the magic number of 88. That's another reason why I had to do this philosophy lecture. So appreciate that. And thank you, Revo. Thank you, Dude, or Helios, who's been here. Everyone that's been here, Keto, Mrs. Whittle. We've had a lot of people on today, so I appreciate you all. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. And Dude, Graphics, let's do a stream on philosophy. I'm down. Anyway, guys, have a good one. Peace.